trying a new setup because I don't love the table sitting thing. I want it to be more fun, so I'm trying different setups around my house to see how they work. Welcome. You're listening to Popcorn Theory. I can't breathe with this. Welcome. You're listening to Popcorn Theory, the podcast where cinema gets dissected, discussed, and devoured with extra butter. I'm Eileen, a film and TV grad with a soft spot for horror genius, and today we're going back to the basics. So grab your popcorn, put your phones on silent, because we're diving into the mastery of suspense. Alfred Hitchcock is the man behind some of the most iconic films ever made. Psycho, The Bird, Vertigo, Rear Window, North by Northwest, Blackmail. And his work throughout the years has earned him the title, the Master of Suspense. What made his work so different? And why do we still call him the master, even decades later? One of Alfred Hitchcock's most famous sayings goes, "There is no terror in the bang, only in the anticipation of it." I've talked a lot about horror films and all of these principles that make up horror films, and the why behind why we get scared and what really goes behind horror films and why they work. And I thought it was time to talk about Alfred Hitchcock. I had like a weird obsession with him before I went to college. I was like really into what he thought at the time and how he made his films. Learning about him and how he makes films taught me so much about how we can have control over the narrative in ways that I never saw, like in ways that I had seen, but this was kind of the start of it all. So it was really interesting to me. And Hitchcock is just legendary. And if you like horror, and if you've seen my podcast and you're like, oh, these are cool and interesting things that she's talking about, you're probably gonna like this episode because I talk about basically the basics of how horror is made and where it came from and who it came from. I researched him a lot when I was younger, and he loved interviews and to do like a bunch of propos for his own films, and he used to like appear before his films and be like, you're gonna like this. He was really he was a character. He used to have this story that he would always say in interviews, and it was that when he was 5 years old, his dad sent him to a police station with a note, and he remembers that he gave the note to a policeman, and he read it, and he put Alfred, 5-year-old little Alfred, into a cell for a few minutes, and he was like, that's what we do to naughty boys. That was my British accent.
Was probably unjustly incarcerated at the time. But you see, the psychiatrist will always tell you, if you have a fear that is rooted in you and comes from something in your childhood, the moment you can go back to it and release it, all is well. It doesn't apply to me. I'm still scared of policemen.
The whole experience kind of stuck with him, and he mentioned that he learned what fear was that day. And it wasn't the fact that they did anything to him at the police station, but the uncertainty, the tension, the not knowing what was going to happen, that was what terrified him. He also said that the whole situation made him like really terrified of law enforcement, and that he wouldn't get a driver's license after like years later because he was scared that he would get a ticket and he would have to deal with the police officer. So yeah, that's just a fun little fact. He was a pioneer when it came to thriller and suspense, and today we're going to be talking about how he created tension and how he has shaped horror, thriller, and suspense in film. I'm going to break down how he goes about creating tension during these 3 stages in a film, in his films. But first, I'm excited about this one. We have Natural Bites. This is from the brand of popcorn that I got on the first episode of Popcorn Theory. And they were a different flavor, but I've never gotten these. And these are cinnamon popcorn. And I literally saw them today, and I was like, now I have so many different types of popcorn that I haven't opened that I will throughout the episodes. But this one, I was like so excited about it, and I saw it today, and I was like, it's kind of meant to be. And it's also red, and I think it's like so on brand. So we're gonna be trying them. It says, Natural Bites, cinnamon popcorn, guilt-free snacking, palomitas de maíz, dulces con canela. So, yeah. So they're sweet, they are cinnamon, raw sugar, non-GMO, gluten-friendly, 100% natural, and 110 calories per cup. And it's vegan. Again, it says, opposites don't just attract, they make us fall in love. Cute. Let's give it a whirl. Let's try it. Why can't I open these? I just went to smell the bag and I smelled the microphone instead. Oh, it tastes a lot like cinnamon. Okay, this is my thing with cinnamon. I usually like cinnamon. I'm not a fan of cinnamon, but I do like it when it's done correctly. I feel like when something's like when there's like too much cinnamon, it like overwhelms me too much because the taste is so strong. So this could go either way. What? Okay, every time I take a bite, each one tastes differently. Maybe it's me. Maybe I'm going insane. Okay, I'm starting to understand. This is my thing. Look at these. These are like drizzled, right? So when you take a bite into them, you can feel a lot of the taste. It's like coated, right? And then you grab one like this, and it tastes like you just put like a bunch of like a little cinnamon on it, and that's it. Like it wasn't cooked with the cinnamon. It's a bold choice. It's growing on me. It's really growing on me. Clearly, they're really good. They're really good. There's a variety within the bag. Really big one. I was kind of confused at first because I was like, okay. And then the second bite was like completely different. So there's something there. They're very sweet. There's like not any salty flavor in this. So it might be too sweet. A little bit too sweet. But it's still like really, really, really good. And it's also really original. I don't think I've ever tasted some like this. And I know there's one theater that I really like to go to, and they have their sweet popcorn. It's kind of cinnamony, kind of different. You know what? Next time I'll just buy those and I'll give you guys a review. But they kind of have like cinnamony taste, and I love those, but they don't taste like these. They're both very different. They're both cinnamon, but they're both very like different types of cinnamon. I would appreciate some saltiness in this to like have the best of both worlds. I like that they're healthier. I like that, you know, it's gluten friendly for my people who can't do gluten. I love the packaging. It's very on brand. You know what? They are a 4.5 out of 5. Because they're almost there. They're almost perfect. The crunch is there. They don't look fucking weird. I know some of them look weird. This ones don't. They look perfect. They're crunchy. They're not chewy, but you know, they're what a good popcorn's supposed to like. You know, the texture of a popcorn, what it's supposed to be. And also, you know those things where it's like you have the first bite and you're like, nah, like okay, fine. And then you have the second bite and you're like, okay. And then you have the third bite and I'm like, okay, give me another one. And then you have the fourth bite and then you're like, I want to keep going in for more and more and more and more. And they become kind of addicting, and like really, really good. So they grow on you really fast and really well. So these definitely grew on me. Let's try a toss. First fucking try. Hitchcock didn't just write scenes, he designed tension. Let's take Psycho, for example. The whole narrative surrounds Marion and her desperate decision to steal $40,000. From then on, the tension and the fear don't come from will she get murdered? It comes from will she get caught? Half the movie is us following her guilt and paranoia. Not only that, but Alfred makes us an accomplice to her crime, putting us into what she's thinking. It's incredibly subjective, and doing that allows us to be with her and feel for her. We see what she sees, we hear what she hears, even when she's like, you know, going like being so paranoid that she's like hearing this in her head, like this dialogue of like all of these people who work with her are like finding out that she stole all this money, and we just feel what she feels. We are in it with her. The twist comes after she checks into the Bates Motel and she gets murdered in the infamous shower scene. He kills off Marion halfway through the film. He kills his main character. I mean, we don't expect it at all because we were anticipating she would get like caught for stealing, not like murdered in her shower at this hotel by this Norman dude, you know what I mean? That's what makes the writing in Psycho so brilliant. It breaks that traditional structure of storytelling. There's no hero's journey, there's no safety net. By removing the main character halfway through, Hitchcock creates this new type of suspense. Now we're not just wondering what's going to happen next. We're wondering what kind of movie we're watching. He kind of treated his actors like pieces in this visual chess game that he was playing us, I guess. He was playing the audience. He believed that emotion and everything came from the images, not necessarily from performances. In his mind, the story lived in how the camera view things and how it looked at the world, and not really how the people in the world behaved necessarily. Like, let's take Vertigo, for example. Through color and through like camera movement, he told us what the characters couldn't or wouldn't say. He makes use of a lot of sollies, which is zoom in and dolly out, which creates this kind of like destabilizing effect. You know, it's usually used. It was used in Jaws as well. When we're like getting into the mind of somebody, he used it for like to place us inside of the character's fears. You know, the swirling dolly zoom, very famous dolly zoom. They call it the vertigo shot. He literally bends the perspective to put us inside of Scotty's fear of heights. You don't just watch him panic, you feel your stomach like drop with him. That's visual empathy, and it's emotion captured through the camera. But I think Hitchcock's kind of obsession with like the visual world crafted a lot of these very important and intentional choices during his films that just transcend time. And even the color in the color palette in Vertigo is very psychological and intentional. When Judy kind of transforms back into Madeline, she's kind of wrapped in this like green light. It's like a natural and ghostly kind of. She's like being resurrected through obsession almost. The lighting tells us everything that we need to know about like Scotty's mental collapse in that moment without like even a single line of dialogue, through the color and what you're seeing and how it's representing that obsession. Then in The Birds, think about that scene outside the school where it's like Hedren like smokes her cigarette, and behind her one crow lands, and then another, and then dozens. There's no sound cues, just that awful waiting, and you're counting in your head, bracing for that like bang, that explosion that hasn't happened yet. And that's kind of Hitchcock's favorite game, making us wait for the bang that just is never coming. His absolute control of everything on set and everything that we see through the film is incredibly intentional. Nothing's there by accident. No choice is there without something to back it up, without a reason as to why. Let's talk about the editing, because if you know Hitchcock, if you know about him, you probably know who Alma Reveal is. That's Hitchcock's editor and wife. She played a massive role in kind of crafting his rhythm in his films. Editing is not just about cutting. Editing is about control and manipulation. Like when you're in an editing room, you're kind of rewriting the film. You're manipulating the audience, and that's your whole job. Hitchcock believed that the magic in editing was in controlling time. It's about when you deliver information to your audience. If you do it too early, the tension's lost. If you do it too early, it dies. Now you're bored. If you do it too late, your audience is probably going to be confused for most of the film, because it's like, what the fuck is going on? But if you do it right, in the perfect time, it lands right in the heartbeat of anticipation. And that's how you create suspense. The best example of this is Psycho. There are 70 cuts in 45 seconds. When I was during my editing classes in college, this is one of the first films we ever talked about, Psycho, and that scene. And I remember we were in class and my teacher played that scene like so many times, and he was like, count how many cuts there were. We never see her getting actually like stabbed, but with the style of editing, the aggressiveness with the which we experience through these like jarring, aggressive cuts, our brain fills in to what's going on. And that's also something that Hitchcock was a firm believer in, which I'm going to get to later. We know what's going on. We fill in the gaps. Hitchcock believed that what we couldn't see was scarier than what we could see. I feel like this has happened to me, and it's happened to like my friends while we're watching movies sometimes. My friends, all of my friends right here, in spirit. While we're watching a movie, that sometimes we're watching the movie and we're like scared shitless, and we're like this, like watching a movie, like, you know, whatever. And out of nowhere, the monster or the demon and whatever the fuck it is, it finally pops up, and we're like, oh, okay. Or some people will sometimes laugh. What it finally like becomes so evident, because when you finally see the monster, it's not that terrifying. Why? Hitchcock believed that what we imagine will always be scarier than anything that we see. Maybe sometimes showing less is more scary. Less is more. So, something to think about. Editing was another one of Hitchcock's kind of weapons that he employed to manipulate us. An uncomfortable moment would be stretched for longer than it needed to, or a jarring cut would like destabilize completely, all through editing and post-production. And I think that's why Hitchcock's films feel so alive even decades later. They're built on rhythm, on carefully timed emotion. Even when you know what's coming, you still feel your pulse rise, because he understood something timeless. Suspense isn't about the scene. It's about the space between the cuts. For my editor folks out there. Piece of advice. Timing. I feel like I've talked about all of these before. This is a way quicker episode. I just wanted to kind of talk about this because I thought it was necessary. I thought it was like a basis of a lot of things that I've been talking about lately. You know, in Weapons and in Skinamarink and Hereditary. That's, you know, Hitchcock taught filmmakers how to manipulate fear. And every modern thriller owes something to him and his films. I feel like watching his films is kind of a masterclass on control and filmmaking with intention, and I always enjoy that. So if you haven't watched any of his films, or if you've watched like one, I suggest you do. They're incredible. I love Hitchcock's films. These are some of my top picks for his films. My favorite one is Blackmail. It's the first British talkie. The Birds is really good. Psycho's such a classic, especially if you're into horror. You should definitely watch Psycho. Rare Window is so interesting. The structure of the film is very unique, especially for its time. If you have watched some of his films, what are your favorites and why? Let me know if you like the setup more than the desk sitting thing. I will be trying different setups. Maybe I'll do one in like a closet, like, I don't know. Who knows? If you have any suggestions or things that you want me to talk about for like horror or not horror, just film things in general, please let me know. I am on Instagram. You can ask me. I'll probably answer faster if you DM me on Instagram. Or comment on one of the videos. I'll also answer there. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this. And stay tuned for any future Popcorn Theory episodes. If you go to the theater and you watch a film, please make sure to get your own popcorn. Because if you didn't know, 100% of people who don't order their own popcorn bucket at the theater end up stealing for somebody else's bucket. So get your own damn popcorn. Bye bye.